Now at 5, Joplin police investigate an armed robbery and shots fired at a motel. Plus, a woman in Miami is battling a camper seller after she says the travel trailer she bought wasn't in good shape.
President Biden holds the first Foreign Leaders Summit of his presidency at Camp David. I'm Willie James Inman at the White House with details on the summit and what it means for U.S. relations with Japan and South Korea.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police arrest a man after gunshots are fired at a motel. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Tanya Bach. It happened around 10:15 this morning at the Super 7 motel on South Rangeline. Authorities say the shots were fired during an armed robbery inside one of the rooms. No one was injured. One suspect was arrested and police are still searching for another suspect. 9 people are injured in a crash involving a bus full of inmates. It happened just before 1 a.m. yesterday near Iola, Kansas. Authorities say the bus was carrying 21 female inmates from the Topeka Correctional Facility. They were in Iola working at the Russell Stover plant before returning to Topeka that night. On their way back, the bus turned onto Highway 169 and collided with a semi. The driver of the bus and 8 inmates were injured. Well, temps are warming up again just in time for the weekend. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us.
That's right, Tanya. It's been a beautiful stretch of weather the last few days, and especially this morning with lows in the 50s and lower 60s across the area. Look at that. Garnett 53 this morning, close to the records in many locations. But we're going to be going the other direction as we go into the weekend with temperatures rising into the 100s. Right now, we're still in the mid 80s across the area for this afternoon's highs, close to 90 out towards the west. And this evening, we're going to see temperatures dropping through all the way down to about 70 degrees by tomorrow morning. And looking down the lane, it looks like a hot weekend ahead and a heat wave next week. We have low rain chances next weekend. And so that means the drought is worsening. And I'll have more details on the forecast in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Sam. A 75-year-old Miami woman is battling a camper seller after the $8,500 travel trailer she bought suffered major water damage following a rain. Louise Whitlock contacted the camper seller to try to get a reimbursement. According to Whitlock, the seller said he'd give her money back, but she says he never did. We also tried contacting the camper seller, but we were unable to reach him. A woman who sells campers in the same lot where Louise bought hers says they are a buy-as-is business. She also said Whitlock and her family were aware of that before the purchase. Jeff Baker, owner of JB Mobile RV Repair, recommends inspecting campers or RVs before buying them.
That's going to be your number one concern, is having somebody that knows what to look for, to look just like buying a house. You know, you want a good thorough inspection done, make sure there's no water damage. The number one thing we find when people buy used trailers is water damage. And it doesn't take much of it to become a very expensive repair.
I was told that it was in good condition, everything worked, there were no leaks.
If the buyer cannot afford to have someone inspect the camper, Baker recommends checking the roof for soft spots and looking for anything that does not feel solid. Besides being concerned with possible infiltrations, buyers should make sure the trailer has both water and power hooked up. You also want to make sure all the appliances work. Kansas City University Joplin students today gave back to their community. It's part of the university's We Care Day. It's an annual event where students, faculty, and staff partner with a local organization and volunteer. This year, the organization was Watered Gardens. Volunteers today helped clean up around the area.
Give back to our community. So KCU, part of our mission is to give back, to care for, to better the community around us and serve the people of the community. So that's kind of why we do it.
The student volunteers also helped organize supplies. President Biden chose Camp David to host a summit with Japan and South Korea. The leaders of the 3 countries all face military and economic challenges from North Korea and Russia. Willie James Inman has more details from the White House.
President Biden invited the leaders of Japan and South Korea to Camp David for the first ever standalone summit among the three Pacific powers. It's the first time the president has hosted foreign heads of state at the Maryland retreat.
This is a historic meeting, but we've laid in place a long-term structure for a relationship that will last.
The three came into the summit hoping to improve communications and get on the same page with common security objectives, including countering North Korea and China. The coordination includes plans for multi-year military exercises and integrating a ballistic missile defense system. But it also includes steps to counter the economic threat that China poses in the region and the world.
Together, we're going to stand up for international law, freedom of navigation, and the peaceful resolution of disputes in the South China Sea.
The significance of the summit cannot be downplayed. While China and North Korea pose a threat, Japan and South Korea still have bad blood between each other, dating back to the time when Japan occupied the Korean Peninsula during World Wars I and II.
The Japanese Empire committed some of the worst atrocities against Koreans that we've seen in the history of humankind. It included, of course, the comfort women. It included forced labor.
Biden officials say they expect Beijing and Pyongyang to criticize the summit and are watching for possible retaliation. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
The leaders of all three countries all agreed they will meet once a year, every year, in order to continue to build on the foundation established at Camp David. Heavily criticized head of the Maui Emergency Management Agency has resigned. Herman Andaya cited health reasons, but his exit comes just a day after he defended his decision not to activate sirens as wildfires swept towards the town of Lahaina last week. The current death toll in the disaster stands at 111, but with hundreds still missing, authorities concede that number is almost certain to rise. 20,000 people are rushing to escape a wildfire near the capital of Canada's Northwest Territories. The fire is threatening the city of Yellowknife, and officials ordered all residents out by noon today. The Yellowknife fire is just one of 1,100 burning across Canada. The record number of fires has contributed to choking smoke and hazardous air quality in parts of the U.S. Still ahead, making sure your money goes to the right place.
Americans are sending help to the people of Maui, but criminals are trying to take that money for themselves. I'm Michael George with expert tips on avoiding charity scams.
And next in Health Watch, what new research shows about the health benefits of a Mediterranean lifestyle. Topping today's Health Watch, a large international study has identified new genes associated with breast cancer. Researchers say the finding could lead to improved tests to recognize women at high risk of developing the disease. Current genetic tests only look at a handful of genes. The study highlights 4 more to consider. With evidence, there may be others that could also be monitored. More young women are getting cancer, and that's according to a U.S. government-funded study of 17 National Cancer Institute registries. Researchers looked at more than 500,000 cases of early onset cancer between 2010 and 2019. The study found that overall early onset cancers went up over that decade by an average of 0.28% each year. Young women in their 30s saw the biggest increase. New research shows adopting the lifestyle that people in Italy and Spain often embrace could help you live longer. Bradley Blackburn has more.
The health benefits of the Mediterranean diet are well known. Now new research shows adopting the whole Mediterranean lifestyle is associated with a lower risk of death. That means following a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains and limiting added salts and sugars, but also practicing other healthy habits like getting enough rest, engaging in physical activity, and spending time with friends. Researchers with Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health analyzed the habits of more than 110,000 adults and followed up 9 years later. Those who followed the Mediterranean lifestyle had a 29% lower risk of all-cause mortality and a 28% lower risk of cancer mortality compared to those who didn't. The study category of physical activity, rest, and socializing with friends was most strongly associated with these lowered risks and was also linked with a lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. Study participants were all from the UK. Evidence researchers say that you don't have to live in Italy, Spain, or Greece to enjoy the health benefits of the Mediterranean way of life. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Mediterranean lifestyle also involves social interactions, which researchers say is important for people as they age. A new anti-obesity drug is targeting the brain. Researchers in France found the drug, called liraglutide, helps people feel full and eat less. They say anti-obesity prevention should play a bigger role in the healthcare system. Using a simple oral rinse, researchers in Canada have identified a link between high white blood cells in saliva and a risk of cardiovascular disease. Scientists believe factors causing inflammation in the mouth are spreading to the blood and could be a contributing cause of heart problems for some people. They say this is another reason to practice good oral hygiene. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, why more gun dealers have lost their license this year than in years past.
And we're looking at a big heat wave developing across our area. I'll have the hot forecast when we come back. Well, I hope you enjoyed the nice cool weather that we've been experiencing in the last few days, because those days are over. As we go to the weekend, we're going to see temperatures rising rapidly, close to 100 degrees in many locations, and feeling hotter than that as we start to add the humidity. Right now at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, nothing but blue skies out there and also warm temperatures. We made it up to 89 today, which was actually below the normal of 90. And look at the lows, 60 degrees this morning. We were only 4 degrees away from the record low this morning. Those are the kind of records we like setting this time of year. Of course, we're about 8.5 inches behind on the rainfall. Now, as we go into the weekend, we're under an excessive heat warning until Wednesday of next week. So that just goes to show you how long we expect the heat wave to last, and it could even extend beyond that, but we'll take it Wednesday right now. Heat advisory in effect for northeastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. That's in effect until Saturday, but those are probably going to be issued each and every afternoon. Temperatures right now are in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. 87 in Stockton, same thing in Carthage, 91 in Neodesha, 91 in Sedan, as well as Independence. A little bit warmer down in Nowata, where they're currently sitting at 92 degrees. One of the things that's been helping us out is the low dew points over the last few days, but those are now gone as well. Now we're looking at dew points in the 60s and even the mid 70s, and on our scale, that's downright soupy. So it looks like we're going to be in the muggy, sticky conditions over the weekend. And when you factor those things in together, look at these heat indexes. 111 in Miami, 112 in Grove, 114 brutal degrees is what it's going to feel like in Nowata tomorrow. Then as we go into Sunday, more of the same. 116 in Miami, same thing in Veneta, as well as Nowata, well over 100 across the entire area. And guess what? That continues into Monday as well. Maybe a little bit cooler with some drier air starting to work in, but still feeling like well over 100 degrees. So here's some of the safety tips as we go into the heat. Stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit your outdoor activities, wear lightweight clothing, and also be sure to check on the elderly and the pets. Rain chances are going to be basically zero for the next 36 hours and beyond. As we look at the map in the upper levels, this ridge of high pressure is going to be sitting and parking itself right over our area for several days in a row, and it's very hard to dislodge these type of high pressure systems, so we're going to just be under the heat for quite some time. Temperatures tonight are going to be in the 70s and some 60s up to the north and east, and then tomorrow temperatures in the upper 90s, even low 100s, especially out towards the west. And then as we go into Sunday morning, lows generally in the mid 70s, and then as we go into the afternoon, temperatures well over 100 degrees across the entire area, mid 100s out towards the west, and then Monday morning mostly fair and mild with lows in the mid 70s again. And taking a look at the next 7 days, the heat continues right on through next week, all the way into next Friday, and then finally maybe next weekend we'll get a little bit more cloud cover and also a chance of showers, but the chances of showers are not that great at this point either.
Not looking forward to more potential alert days, though.
Yeah, that's the way it's looking right now. We'll just have to buck it up, I guess.
Brace yourself. All right, thanks, Sam. Well, coming up, if you plan on donating to relief efforts in Maui, we'll have tips to help you avoid scams. Topping today's Consumer Watch, more than 100 firearm dealers have lost their licenses over gun law violations this year. The number of license revocations is up by about 50%, even though the laws haven't changed much. What's happening is that under the Biden administration, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is escalating enforcement of existing rules. Regulators used to issue warnings instead of revoking licenses in most cases. Workers using their company's 401k accounts to save for retirement are increasing their nest eggs. According to Fidelity, the average balance in 401k accounts is up 39% compared to 10 years ago. The average contributor, who's been saving since 2008, has a balance of $500,000. In the past year, Gen Xers have seen their balances grow 14.5%. Millennials' savings grew 24.5%, and Gen Zers saw their nest eggs spike 66%. Well, the devastating wildfires in Maui have many people looking for ways to help, and scam artists are hoping to take advantage of that generosity. Michael George reports.
Donations are pouring into Maui to help the thousands of people left homeless from wildfires.
This is the type of things that our community does best, and we stick together.
Besides basic needs, legitimate organizations are also asking for money, but so are criminals posing as charities.
We want people to know that whenever there's a natural disaster, scammers are quick to follow.
Colleen Tressler with the Federal Trade Commission says scam artists may contact you about donations through phone calls, email, and social media.
Are there red flags that people should look out for that might be signs that it's not a legitimate charity?
Absolutely. These scammers very often create a sense of urgency, and you're really not thinking as clearly as you would normally. Some of these scammers use very similar sounding names to organizations, charities that we all know.
Another red flag, criminals often ask for payment with cash, gift cards, wire transfer, or cryptocurrency.
We really recommend that you pay by credit card, which gives you a lot more consumer protections.
Tressler says you should only donate to charities you trust. You can verify the legitimacy of a nonprofit through sites like Charity Watch, Charity Navigator, and others.
Every dollar that a scammer takes out of a generous person's pocket means that money isn't going to the people in need.
A little research can help guarantee the money you send gets to the right place. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
For more on charity scams, you can visit the Federal Trade Commission site at ftc.gov/charity. Well, time is running out for eligible Facebook users to file a claim in a data privacy settlement case. Facebook's parent company, Meta, agreed to pay $725 million in December to settle a host of privacy-related class action lawsuits. Eligible users have until August 25th to file a claim. In order to be eligible, you must have had a Facebook account at any point between May 24th, 2007 and December 22nd of last year. The final check of the forecast is next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman goes on the road to Katy, Texas for a story about love, loss, and hope. And then on KOAM News at 6, the town of Lamar, Missouri welcomes the PBR Challenger Series this evening. KOAM's Anthony Saviello will be live interviewing a few of the riders. Plus, we'll have more on the dispute between a Miami woman and a camper seller. And the MIAA puts out its preseason volleyball poll. We'll see where the Gorillas and Lions landed. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then the KOAM News at 6.
Yeah, it's going to be hot out there for the rodeo tonight.
Oh, I bet.
And then it's going to get even worse as we go into the weekend. In fact, I'm thinking we're going to tie the record on Sunday, very close to the records as we head into the forecast. Hot.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here for the KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Have a great evening and an even better tomorrow.